Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Kayena vacha chittena pamadhena maya katang acchayam kamami bhante bhuri panye tathagate. Kayena vacha chittena pamadine maya katang acchayam kamami dhamme sandittika akhalika. Kayene vacha chittene pamadine maya katang acchayam kamami sange supatipanne anuttere. Let us sit for meditation. Gently drawing your attention inwards from the six sensory doors, pondering over the external. Let us swiftly guide our attention inwards, letting go of the past, the future, settling into this very moment, relaxing the muscles all around the body, taking deep breaths to center oneself into the moment, relaxing the muscles across the body. And as you do, the mind too relaxing, calming, gently guiding your attention towards the breath, experienced at the tip of the nostrils or with the rise and the fall of the abdomen. Gently, gently experience, observe, note the in-breath and the out-breath without any anticipation. Through being in the present, let us observe, allow oneself to experience a deep relaxation through being in the present. We may have many things to do through the day, through the coming week. but we have nothing more to do at this very moment. Let us give our undivided attention to this being in the present with the breath. We may not be perfect at observing the breath. Let us accept this as the nature of the mind. Gently being with the breath, noting the arising of the in breath, the out breath. Simply, gently observe, observe. Gently letting go of expectation, anticipation, letting go of want, and simply determine to be with oneself, calming the sankharas of the mind and body. Come what may, we will be steadfast in mind, being in the moment, knowing that all sankhara is impermanent. We are not moved by any sankhara. Being conditioned, all conditioned Dhamma, while it may seem that we are making decisions, all arising takes place owing to not one but many conditions. Certain conditions within our reach, other conditions beyond reach. With deepest acceptance over all Dhammata, gently, gently, be vigilant, alert, gracefully in the present, reacting to nothing, but observant and aware, observing the gross in breath and out breath, with the calming of the mind and bodily sankharas. The breath will become clearer as the mud of the mind comes to settle, just as when mud settles, the water becomes clearer. Allow all sankharas to simply settle without any prapancha proliferation arising in the moment. However complex our lives may be, at this time, allow the mind to be very simple. No need to complicate things. Observe Observe, observe. Let us cultivate that which is boundless with acceptance of all sankharas as they are. The more time you spend, the more one experiences the true nature of all that is, right here, right now. One is able to be strong, resilient, stable, regardless of the condition that arises. Observing the long in breath and out breath, if it is long. Observing the short in breath and out breath, if it is so. Allow the meditation practice to develop organically, but let us have no needs, no want. Gently be with the breath, be with the breath. Be with the breath. gently. Every moment that arises, let us not compare it with what has arisen before. Let us not uphold it with what should arise in the future. Being based upon the present, being in the present, entails observing that which arises, and when this Dhamma ceases, it ceases from the mind itself. Observe the lightness that befalls the mind, which exercises this ability of leaving things as they are, letting things be, accepting Dhammas, Sankharas, condition for the nature which is at its core, impermanent, suffering, non-self, non-self, non-self. Relaxing, observing the breath, the whole body of the breath, arising, processing, ceasing, arising, processing, ceasing. Observe just as all else that arises in our life, in all life, animate, inanimate, this nature of arising, processing, ceasing, is that which is present in all Dhammas. Observe the breath closely, noting the moment of arising, the moment of ceasing, and between arising and ceasing, discontinuity, processing, titi, observe, observe, observe. Gently. Let us now guide our attention through the experience of impermanent suffering, not self. Of the moment, let us advert to the reality that all that is seen and experienced within, it is in the same nature that all external Dhamma too prevails. Observe, observe, observe. Gently, gently. Cultivate deep disattachment. And whilst you do, observe how the mind is able to be within kusala, within wholesome state, without the hindrances of attachment, hatred, delusion. Gently, gently observe. Let us now, whilst acknowledging the nature of the mind, the body, internal, external, Myo Sattva being, experiencing, living in flux, affected, conditioned. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. Well and happy. Let us cultivate the essence of boundlessness, choosing to let go of all qualms against the internal and external, embracing all that is the way it is, gently, gently. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. Gently, gently. Let us now recollect the aspects of the meditation practice. Observing, acknowledging, accepting things as they are. And the more that we see and know, the more lightness there should arise. Even if it is a feeling, a shortcoming, to be aware of it, to know its existence, is an opportunity for deeper seeing, to know what really is existent within this mind, the pure and the impure. This is the nature. This is what it is to be conditioned. This is why the Buddha says, that all Sankhara Dhammas are steeped in Anatma, non-self. For it is not free will that maneuvers the mind and body, but condition, prati, forces, influences, view, conceit, like, dislike, in letting go of attempting to please such mundane system, we come to experience true freedom. Gently, gently, gently recollect the aspects of the meditation practice deeply, deeply, deeply. Gently but swiftly, let us now become aware of our environment around us, the posture, the way the body is disposed herewith. Gently, gently, taking a deep breath in, breathing out, relaxing. And when you are ready, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, everyone. So today's session, eh, we will take some questions if you have any, with regards to the practice, with regards to your personal experience. And before we carry on, I must let you all know that with the December, the month of a month that we often spend with family and friends, um, the classes that we offer, we will be going on a bit of a break, um, starting this week. mm, Starting this coming week. So we will go on to having a break from the classes, um, from tomorrow onwards up until uh, the beginning of January. However, we will be having our meditation classes and meditation classes. Um, and before the start of the new year, I will also organize a meditation session and a blessing ceremony in order to bless all of you and bless us and all of that before the dawn of the new year. Mm. With Venerable Maitri Ratana, who is also with me at the time at this time, who is very good in chanting Parita. So let us listen to him chanting Parita next week or the week after. Mm, what else? Now, do you have any questions that you would like to ask about your practice? The time is now. Mm? That's the prashna. Mm? Oh, Damse, did you want?
Bhante, the question I have is when you contemplate on towards the end of the first four levels of Anapanasati,
Mm-hmm.
when you go into the internal,
Mm.
contemplating on internal and externally, when you're contemplating on internals, is it okay to contemplate on Mahabhuta in your body, or in other words, uh, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu
Mm,
in your body, uh, because that's to me
mm,
it's quite easy for me to contemplate and
mm.
then contemplate on external again the similar ones,
Sure.
which is
Uh,
not out, which is outside your body. Yeah.
sure, sure, sure. මේ එතන දම්සිරි මේ if one is comfortable with the cultivation or seeing of ධාතු මනසිකාර
Mm-hmm.
ධාතු නේද? ඔව් ධාතු
So that one,
මනසිකාර. ධාතු මනසිකාර
yeah.
ධාතු මනසිකාර දැන් ආනාපාන සතියෙන් ධාතු මනසිකාරයට අපි මේ භාවනාව ධම්මවන්න ඕන. හ්ම්?
Right,
මේ
right.
උතුරු දැන් මොකද දැන් when we practice ආනාපානසති we are inherently not practicing in the sense of oh this is the wind element කියලා අපි එහෙම
Yeah.
practice කරන්නේ නැහනේ.
Oh,
අපි බලන්නේ ආස්වාසය ප්‍රාශ්වාසය.
yeah.
දීර්ඝ උස්ම කෙටි උස්ම සහ සබ්බකාය පටිසම්භේදී.
Yeah. Yeah.
එතකොට දැන් මෙන්න මෙතන in a practice of this sort, or if you're approaching the anapanasati in this manner, we
Mm-hmm.
don't essentially look at the dhatu. So, Damsiri, in that case, how do we bring, or how do we then go from the anapana into contemplating dhatu?
Okay. Let me uh, try to explain the way I practice.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I see Patsambaya, when I read the
Hmm.
Patsambaya
Hmm.
Pai Sankara, that means the fully relaxation and almost disappearing of your mind, my body.
Hmm.
So what I see is
Hmm.
I actually my mind is
Hmm.
looking at my body,
Hmm.
but at that time I don't
Hmm.
have sort of I didn't have uh, even Kaya Vijnana.
Hmm.
So the body is just I see from
There is no
out.
body.
There's no body
Hmm.
practically,
Hmm.
and but there is sign of body,
Hmm.
and I don't feel that body, but
Sure.
I know that there's body, right?
Hmm.
And so then what I see is because then I contemplate on that sign and
Hmm.
try to um, try to contemplate that okay in that body I should have Patavi,
Hmm.
Apo,
Hmm.
Tejo, Vayu. I'll start with Patavi because
Hmm.
there should be a solidness in it,
Hmm.
and that sort of approach.
Okay.
And
Just okay. If I may ask some questions there, Damsri. Now,
yeah,
when you look at when you are in a position where the body fades, or the
yeah,
concept or the feeling of this sort of sorry, not four-legged, two-legged,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this two-legged being right here, right?
yeah, yeah,
And now, when we are meditating, the sense of the body as a two-legged, two-handed creature,
yeah,
that sense is not there, isn't it?
yeah,
And we're looking at the experience of the breath, and the more that the breath or the contemplation or awareness of the breath increases,
mhm,
the perception of the body as we see it in the mundane way that we do,
mhm,
that sort of disappears.
yeah, yeah,
Because in this moment we are not sort of putting forward wrong view or attachment
mm,
based or view based or mana based. We're not
yeah,
putting any of those forward, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
එතන, now at the stage of pasambayang sankarang, huh?
mhm,
Where and the Sabbakai, which is the whole body of the breath, Upatiti
yeah,
Bangara,
yeah,
processing and ceasing.
yeah,
And at this
yeah,
stage, when the meditator experienced is sort of giving away or going away of the body, the physical body, the two-legged
mm,
creature here.
yeah,
Now here, Damsiri, ආපහු මෙතනට ධාතුවක් ගේන එක ආපහු bringing a dhatu to this level, right? You have to have a clear object now because dhatu cannot be experienced through vipassana inferentially. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Inferentially. Hence, when you are taking or when you are abiding by the dhatu practice, which is a seeing of the elements to transgress further in the vipassana, you have to see or take a proper dhatu element. You can't do inferential, right?
Okay.
You can't. But let us say this kind of situation, Damsri, where let us say you're seated, hmm? And then let us say you're seated, you have a cushion, you have your legs on the floor, all of these things. And you have a temperature arising, you have a hardness that you can see, the qualities that we have already discussed neither.
Yeah,
How many qualities are there for the four? 12ක් තියෙනවා නේද?
yeah, yeah.
12 qualities, right? So any of the 12 qualities belonging to one of the four elements has to be solidly experienced. ඔතකොට තමයි, that is when the mind is able to connect to that level of practice or that type of practice based upon the true experience of a material quality, which is a characteristic of the dhatu,
Yeah.
right? Characteristic of the dhatu. Now, if you are, let us say, you are observing the breath. And in the breath, Upadhatiti Bhanga, there you could start with, for example, the pushing, if there is any pushing there. The column of air, the hardness in the column of air. But you have to stick to the original qualities and it should not be inferential. ඒ කියන්නේ
Okay.
yeah, but what I mean by inferential, I hope
Art,
that one
art,
understands there.
artificially,
ඒක
artificially put, artificially put
ඒකනේ
that. Yeah,
ඒකනේ
yeah,
දැන් මෙන්න මෙතන දැන්
yeah.
if we are to say බුදුහාමුදුරෝ කියා තියෙනවා මෙන්න මෙතන සතර මහා ධාතු ටිකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. දැන් මේ සතර මහා ධාතුන් අපිට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි
Mm,
ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂව දැකලා නැහැ. We have
mm,
not surely seen it,
mm,
but owing to the trust that we have upon the Buddha, we sort of contemplate it in that manner. Now,
mm,
down the line, this may then it might begin inferentially,
mm.
and down the line, it may turn to now genuine experience. But the Buddha always says, do not put the inferential before the experience, as we discussed in the Sutra
Yeah.
class, right? Or last week's Sunday class.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Yeah.
put the inferential before the experience. After you experience it, then you can bring the inferential, as we have
Mm.
discussed, how you go from internal contemplation to contemplating the external,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, in the Dhatu Mansikara Dansari, take it, if you are to take it in this manner, Dhatu Mansikara and Anapanasati,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, establishes a similar objective
Mm-hmm.
at this stage, which
Yeah.
is cutting a pathway into the Paramatta.
Mm-hmm.
Into the Paramatta. If I may also remind you, about me the chart that I have shared with you before, which
Mm-hmm.
is the PAOK meditation technique, which we currently do follow. Right here
Mm-hmm.
it is. Yeah. දැන් බලන්න මෙතන.
Mm-hmm.
Anapanasati is here and the four elements are here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Anapanasati and the four elements are amazing ways of establishing focus. But we always do say this, we discuss this, but how, Bante, can we take it or take it deeper in or make best use of it? That you do by connecting the meditation technique with another, right? How do you do that? Now, how do you do that? We do that by now, for example, let us say Anapana, mindfulness of breathing, the breath may have a temperature, the breath may have a
mm,
hardness, the breath may have a flowing, supporting nature, which is the wind element. The
mm.
breath may have a cohesive nature. If one is able to experience that, now through the breath, you can experience the four elements.
Yeah,
Right. Now, Damsari, if you are far more comfortable with the four elements, then how do you further purify the four elements? To this, I have given you the 12-fold technique of
yeah.
contemplating the dhatus, or
Hmm.
you could use the dhatus, the four elements, and go on to the 32 parts of the body. Hmm?
Mm, hmm.
32 parts of the
Yeah,
body. Or you could go into the skeleton meditation.
yeah, yeah,
Skeleton meditation. And for you, for all of you who are very well versed with, the parts of the skeleton, if you remember all of that, right?
yeah.
May the parts of the skeleton, we have monks who do. ඒ කියන්නේ අර ඇඟේ, do you remember how many bones are there in the body? Is it
I asked Mala. Mala doesn't say. Yeah, their first lesson should be
right?
that.
Now, now,
Yeah.
in that meditation, in the skeleton meditation, what you do is now all of those part of the bones you contemplate one by one, one by one, one by one. You go through it, right?
Okay.
You don't have to do it in that much depth. You could also break it down into larger parts and then contemplate on the nature.
Mm,
මගේ ලංකාවේ හොඳ දායක පවුලක් හිටියා. මේ the whole family, they including the daughters and the daughters' children and all of that, they were all meditators. They're all meditators. මේ ඉතින් අම්මයි තාත්තයි they do skeleton meditation a lot, right? A lot. So the mother of the house, the lady of the house, told me that in following the skeleton meditation, now she's sitting in her bed at night and she's meditating, right? And the husband is already asleep, right, next to her. And as she meditates and she gets up from the meditation, and as she slowly opens her eyes, she would see a skeleton lying on the bed.
mm,
Skeleton lying on the bed. ඒ වගේම දැන් උදේට කරලා Uday, she will also get up in the morning and she would also practice, and the husband also experiences the same. යාටත් පේනවා ඇටකට. Hmm? So both of them, the husband on that side, the wife on this side, they're both contemplating. And when they get up in the morning, especially the lady of the house, the mother,
mhm,
she sees the daughter, the grandchildren, everyone me ගෙදර වටේ ඇවිදිනවා me. You see skeletons. You can't see the flesh. You won't see the flesh. You see the skeletons, which is absolutely incredible in terms of also understanding the nature of sanya in our lives, in our mind.
mhm,
අපි අර සංඥාවකට we are stuck on a certain level of belief where we believe that this is the right normal sanya, right normal sanya, and then we are there. But when that sanya is altered through, of course, we do these meditations, then you would see, when you are in meditation, you would see these in that way. Now this cuts down on lust and all of that. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ රූප අරූප විරාගය කෙරෙහි තමයි මේක අරන් යන්නේ.
mm,
ඒ කියන්නේ this goes even with ආනාපානසති or the four elements. It has to go into රූප and අරූප විරාග. න? රූප විරාග කියන්නේ 28 රූපස් විරාග කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අත්හරින්න ස්වභාවය.
mhm,
අරූප විරාගය කියන්නේ මනස. මනස විරාග කිරීම. ඔතකොට රූප විරාගය කියන්නේ මොනවද? What does it mean or what does it entail on doing this Rupa Viraga? Rupa Viraga is the essence of a materiality captivating our hearts and pulling us with it. A Rupa Swabhavi, when we see the reality of that Rupa, then this Viraga happens where we are no more dependent. Hari, again, now for example, imagine this in today's world, a phone is something that is quite, it's almost like a necessity, isn't it? Now, may the phone, whilst it might be a requirement and necessity in certain ways, to some, not all, විරාග කරනවා කියන්නේ the phone having control over you reduces. Remember this. Because sometimes when we say viraga, you also sort of equate it to sort of completely letting it go. No, this is not entirely about removing that physicality from your life. This is more about not being attached or not being sort of pushed about as a result of this object. So the dhatu manasikara there, if you're able to see the dhatus to the anapana solid, one of the solid factors or the qualities of it, then you can develop. However, if you are in approaching it through an inferential manner, then you're not catching hold of the best point to go forward, right? To go
But Bhante, the question is actually when you come to Pasambayankaya Sankara,
yes.
you fade your feeling of your body. Now, question is how you transit your transitional phase
Mm.
to make it iti ajitankaya the ajitang wa kaya kaya anuspatsi viharati.
Don't bother too much about that transition, Dhansiri.
Uh,
Now, have you, for example, let us say if you are
yeah,
holding something in your hand, now I am holding something in my hand.
yeah,
There is a certain weight as a result of me holding this thing in my hand.
yeah.
There is some sort of weight in this.
Mm,
Now, when you're looking at the arising, processing, seizing, right? Let
mm,
us say I'm moving it from hand to hand, or even if I'm holding it like this, just stagnant,
mm,
stable. And if you watch the rising, processing, seizing, you will realize, for example, that at any point of Upadati Banga, this object is not the same.
mm,
ඒක තේරෙලා
yeah,
තියෙනවා. Now බලන්න
yeah.
සබ්බකාය පටිසම්වේදී, right?
Mm,
Sabbakaya Patisamvedi, which is the observation of Uppada arising, processing, seizing of the breath.
yeah,
In Sabbakaya Patisamvedi, when you're observing the breath, observing the arising, processing, ceasing, now breath,
yeah,
you have a certain view about what the breath is. You have a
yeah,
certain experience of what the breath might be.
yeah.
However, when you observe the Upadati Banga, this sense of breath එක කියලා දෙයක් තියෙනවා කියන සංඥාව ඇති වෙනවනේ.
Oh, yeah.
Now, මේ breath එක, when you observe the Sabbakaya, you realize that at any point, whether it be Uppada to Titi to Banga,
Mm,
the object is different.
mm,
The sensation, the Vedana
yeah.
that arises is different. At no point is it the same.
Okay.
දැන් ඔහුවගේ දේවල් now ඒ කියන්නේ what is the observe ඒ කියන්නේ මේ අනිත්‍ය දුක්ඛ අනාත්මේ අර
Mm,
සියුම් කොටස් hmm?
mm,
එතනින් now organically when you go through that ඕකෙම විරාග වෙනවා hmm?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
ඒ විරාගය හරහා උඩට ගියාම අපේ අර විදර්ශනාව ශක්තිමත් hmm?
yeah, yeah.
විරාගය ශක්තිමත් විදර්ශනාව ශක්තිමත්
Mm,
that is what we aim to do. As
yeah,
a result of that cultivation, then we will progress further naturally, organically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, what is this progressing further? Progressing further is the bringing about of the right conditions that would allow the mind to achieve a deeper state of non-self. Hmm? Then අපි හිතමු if something is hurtling towards us, right? Like a wave, like a tsunami, or something of the sort. Naturally, what would a person do? They would run, isn't it? They would run because they have much to lose. Hmm? In this plane, in this experience, when one realizes that all rising is most deeply to the core, rooted in non self, that it has no permanent phase, that it is ever changing in nature, then ඔය ගති ටික වැඩි වෙන්න වැඩි වෙන්න වැඩි වෙන්න අපේ ජීවිතේ අර අපේ ජීවිතේ කැළඹීමක් ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ ගති දේවල් ජීවිතෙන් නැති වෙනවා. මොකද මේ කලමන්න කෙනෙක් නෑනේ. There is no person here, or rather you are of the belief still. රහත් වෙලා නෑනේ. තාම
Mm-hmm.
belief. සම්මා දිට්ඨිය. You are of the belief and profound learning of the fact that there is nothing in this world is able to remove me from this position that I am in. අනිත්‍ය දුක්ඛය අනාත්මය මේකට හිතට වැදෙන්න මේ ලෝකේ තියෙන දේවල් අපේ හිතට අර චංචල කම්පනාවන් ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ ගතිය නැති වෙනවා. හ්ම්. ඒ ගතියත් එක්ක තමයි අපි ඉස්සරහට යන්නේ. හ්ම්. ඒ ගතියත්
Yeah.
එක්ක තමයි අපි ඉස්සරහට යන්නේ. එතන තමයි බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ, the Buddha teaches there, contemplate on the fact of death, contemplate on the fact of the 32 parts of the body, contemplate on the fact of Pataviyapo Tejo, Marnanusati.
Mm-hmm.
Contemplate on these facts so that you are not surprised, you are not taken aback, you are not affected by the inevitabilities of life. Hmm? නින්දා ප්‍රශංසා ලාභෝ අලාභෝ යසෝ අයසෝ නේද?
Mm-hmm.
දැන්
Yeah.
ඔය දේවල් උඩ අපි කම්පනාවට පත් වෙනවා නේද? අපේ හිත චංචල භාවයකට පත් වෙනවා. It shakes, our mind shakes when at gain and loss. Not only loss, but also gain, the mind shakes. Huh? When people gain, have you not experienced people changing when they gain? And then people again change when they lose as well. මේ දෙකම වෙන්නේ මනුස්ස ස්වභාවය හින්දා. Both of these things happen because of human nature, the nature of condition. When the meditator observes, all of that condition is visible within the breath as it is observed. Hmm? And that is what we aspire to cultivate. Hmm? So we are not in a rush to progress further, but what we do is do what we do right now genuinely, authentically, with deep and profound cultivation for it to then organically move forward.
Yeah.
Hmm? Okay?
Okay.
May organically move forward. The Anapanadamsri you can take if you මේ ධාතු මනසිකාරයත් එක්ක ආනාපාන සතිය පොඩ්ඩක් කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ධාතු මනසික ආනාපාන සති උස්මරල්ලෙන් අපි කරලා තියෙන විදියට 12 techniques of
Mm.
12 characteristics of the dhatus, and then from there you can progress forward. Hmm?
Okay.
If
Okay.
if if at the section of, let us say, සබ්බකායම් පටිසම්වේදී
Mm.
සබ්බකාය පටිසම්වේදී එකෙන් හොයාගන්න ඕන ධාතු මනසිකාරයේ ගතියක්, whether it be the air
Okay.
element or the patavi dhatu or any of that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because remember, this is not samatha, this is vipassana. So vipassana,
That's right.
the sense of අනිච්ච දුක්ඛ අනාත්මය වැදෙනවා නම් හිතට ඒ
Yeah.
ශක්තියත් එක්ක ධාතු මනස්කාරයට යන්න පුළුවන්.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Hi.
Thank you.
Any other questions or any other um, hmm? හරි. එනම් we will close the session.
Bante, there's a
එහෙමයි කියන්න.
question.
ඔව්.
Bante, that when I did the meditation today, that
Mhm.
subtle breath, very
Mm.
subtle, and then cold feeling,
Mm.
one spot of cold feeling,
Mm.
and then Bante, there's a sudden appears and vanishes heartbeat suddenly.
Mm. Mm.
Vanishes and came back to the subtle breath coldness.
Mm.
And again there's experience Bante, when you say gently, that sound vibrates when came and went. Just
Okay.
a little bit of new
Is the
experience.
coldness, how, tell me more about the coldness, please.
It came with the very subtle breath, very
Is it
subtle.
comforting?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you said lighter, I just clear comprehension and lightness came, and then cold spot, and then the heartbeat.
And then the heartbeat.
Which
What did you think the cold is?
it's with the subtleness of the breath, just a cold spot like
Cold spot.
like at the end of the nostril.
Yeah. Now this cold spot, it was comforting. Was it like a Vedana?
Vedana also came to my mind, but I don't know whether it's.
Now what happened? What happened before this arising of the cold feeling? There was the mind at ease.
Clear comprehension also came. Sati clearness
so
was
the
there.
cold. Okay. So the coldness there, Hemamali, this sounds to me like the inference of Preeti, right? And Sukha that arises, right?
Okay.
More this edge of Sukha that arises.
Okay.
There, what we do is, අර දම්ශ්‍රීට කිව්වාමසේ ඒ අවස්ථාවේ we continue. If this happens repeatedly, we simply continue. Remember, at the end of the day, our achieve or what we try to sort of move towards is a comprehensive and full, whole understanding of reality. හරි. ඔතකොට දැන් ඔය උස් සියුම් ඔය සීතල, that coldness is also, yes, it is quite blissful in nature, isn't it? It's quite blissful, it's quite calming. That too is impermanent. That too has suffering. That too is anatma. But how do we see this? When you observe the phases of whatever that arises, I'm not telling you to specifically observe these things that arise all the time. But when the mind is working in that manner, and when you do observe, you will realize that even that coldness or the bliss that arises there, that it changes. That is important to see. Now, imagine, put that in there. Imagine, you know, the ants that go in this line, huh? And when there is a line, let's say from the bottom and then up the wall, and when you're looking from afar, it seems like it doesn't look like a line of ants. It looks like a line or something. It looks stagnant as well. It doesn't seem like it's moving either. But when you go closer, what do you see? You see the ants. You see that it's not a line of paint, it's not a line of dirt, it's not a water line, it's not any of that. That it's a line of ants, isn't it?
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm asking you to do.
Okay. So that
Huh?
means I had.
This is now, these are the occasions, everyone, we will have very pleasant experiences, unpleasant experiences as well, and experiences that are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. This is our life. In all of those experiences, we train the mind to be able to, usually we see something, we attribute it to something that we know, and we pass judgment. Neither, oh, there's a line of paint, there's a line of water. Neither, according to what we know and understand. But here, the training is not to make that rash judgment, but to simply observe, noting the breath, for example. Not to judge whether the breath is long or short or any of these things. We are not judging. However, simply with openness to observe. ඒ වෙලාවේ අර ධර්මය, that assumed Dhamma becomes now a teaching, an essence that teaches us something. In this case, it shows us its true reality, the reality of change. Now, when you go close, you realize first you thought the line was stagnant. It's not stagnant. It changes. And these ants, they're going, they're going, they're going, they're going. There's constant change. Okay, when we realize now, even with any sukha, now imagine a time. Oh, it's December, so you will go through this. When all the kids and grandchildren and everyone, friends and family and extended family, everyone comes home to have a meal or a dinner, and you have a sing song, and you're having a gala time with your family, having a lovely time. And then there comes Igolo, they pack up and they leave, right? And as they leave, you see all that sound and all of that, it ceases, isn't it? Huh? It ceases.
Yes.
Now you lock the door, you close the door and you come in. Now it's silent. Now it's silent. This sense of change is observable in every Dhamma. But you realize even in the most busy or the noisy of environments, between the noise there is silence. Between the silence there is noise. It's all constantly changing, like those ants. You can't see it from afar. That is why our awareness එක සති සම්පජන්ණය දියුණු වෙන්න, the more clear comprehension develops through our training, the mind does not just blurt out conclusions, but yet trains itself to have this overall awareness. Overall awareness, which is important, which is needed in order to cultivate forward. And even with that bliss and Priti Sukha that arises, the attachment to Priti Sukha that may arise, or any level of Priti Sukha that arises, we simply continue our practice forward. Ekama continue karan. Monowa avat, come what may, and whatever may come might be pleasant or unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Come what may, we continue in the comprehension of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. To see that clearly, to see that non-self, to see that, it's like if you're drinking something, even a water or a drink or a sweet drink or whatever it is that you're drinking, and if you're sipping or even just having it in your mouth, and you observe this, you realize even in between that sweet taste, you have moments where the taste is different. It's not sweet constantly. Are constantly sweet. The person who sees it as constantly sweet, for example, is a person who's also blinded by an overwhelming Vedana. It's not constantly sweet. It's not. Even in terms of pleasure, it is not constant pleasure. There's always change. ඔය වෙනස දකින්න ඕන. You have to see it. How do you see it? By the calming of the mind, letting go of one's own views and seeing reality for what it is. Right? Now, you don't know what it is, right? You don't know what it is, right? You might say, no, Bantavi, no. You don't know what it is up until you experience it for yourself. Before you experience it for yourself, it's inferential knowledge. You're putting in knowledge or things that you've picked up from everywhere into. That may work to a certain extent because knowledge also does help. We can't say that knowledge does not help. ඒ වුණාට අර භාවනාමය ඥානය කියන දේ තමයි it solidifies the experience, the vipassana insight. Okay? The vipassana insight. So let us stop there for now, everyone. And I wish you all the very best. And I will keep you posted on the other sessions that we have coming. And that is all for today. I wish you all the very best and all my blessings. And Teruan Sarnai.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි බන්තේ.
Teruan
තෙරුවන් සරණයි බන්තේ තෙරුවන් සරණයි